Um, and let me share some slides that we have for you today. Hopefully these show up. Let's see. Okay. So yeah, good morning, everybody. My name is Doug Casey, and I serve as the Executive Director for the State's Commission for Educational Technology. We've been working on the Everybody Learns initiative for the past couple of months. This is an initiative to make sure that every student that needs to get online for remote and blended learning can do so. And we're excited to welcome Bob McCarthy and Amanda Ginder today from Charter to talk a little bit about the program rollout for students living in communities served by Charter. So today should be pretty straightforward and not a lot of surprises, really kind of focused on next steps for you as district leaders to help get the word out and facilitate those student connections. So let's see, advance here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so as I said, our agenda is pretty brief. We're going to just share with you the contacts at Charter that you'll be working with. Talk a little bit about the serviceability process, the steps to ensure that when we set up service, that it is indeed with families that are eligible, and that we're not going in, for example, and taking over service where the family already has another internet connection. Really want to focus this program on the highest needs families, and those are the ones that are disconnected. Talking about the handoff to the families and sort of moving beyond setup to support, and then answer any frequently asked questions. We've peppered a few in here, but you may have questions of your own about the program, and so we'll certainly have time at the end of the session for that. So with that, I would like to hand things over to Bob and Amanda to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about the program. So I will hand it off to you guys now.
Amanda, you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody. My name is Amanda Ginder. I'm a major account manager for the Northeast. I see a couple of familiar names on this list, which is great. And I look forward to working with anybody who I have not yet. Yeah, so essentially Bob and I will be the point of contacts. I'll be the main point of contact for the Stay Connected program through state of Connecticut. And Bob will be overseeing with me as well.
And so good morning, I am Bob McCarthy. I am the manager of strategic accounts for government and education. I cover part of New York State, the capital region, and all of the New England states. Our properties are scattered around, and our team is scattered around. So I'll be working with Amanda. We work closely together as it is. Also on this slide, you'll see the family technical support contact. This is it's a website that shows you all sorts of information about troubleshooting and setup, and you'll receive this in other information, other communications, but we just wanted to put that right on here. So with that, Doug, we move right into the serviceability and setup slide.
Sure, and I just want to reinforce a point here is please do not send individual families to Amanda and Bob directly. There are great support channels through Charter. If you have concerns that are more sort of systematic, et cetera, they are absolutely your points of contact. But in order to help prioritize any kind of setup or support issues, please, after after setup takes place, please refer families to the URL and the toll-free number that you see on the screen here.
Thanks, Eddie. So the process. So what let me give you a quick overview of what I'm going to jump to a different slide for one moment. What this is a cable internet with unlimited data service. It's a 50 meg download with a 5 meg upload. to provide students in their home with traditional, coax connected cable service. It's wireless connectivity in the routers, so they have Wi-Fi in the home. And they can also use our hotspots out at different areas where we have free hotspots available for public access for our customers. So that's kind of a high level of what it is. So starting on November 6th, districts would submit an anonymous family level data. So we give you a spreadsheet, it's a template, you'll fill it out, there are no student names on it. We want to get one record per family or per household, even if there's multiple students living in that household. The fields that'll be in there are district contact information, so your technical contact at the district and email and phone number. Family address, so there's no names given up front. You're going to give us a fake student ID, which is really for your tracking, and then the family address. So it's a physical address of where the service will be installed. So we need that information. And you're going to send that through an SFTP site, which instructions will be forthcoming on that and how to get set up with passwords and how that's going to work. So we'll contact you about that.
Bob, can I step in for a second? I just wanted to make note of the student ID. Make sure there, and you'll see a column for this. You're going to be giving charter addresses, and that's all they're going to see. They're going to have no idea which student this is associated with. But for your own tracking purposes, and we're not going to be prescriptive here, but include some kind of ID and not the SACID. You don't be sharing the SACID, but if you can say you have 100 families and can generate a unique identifier associated with that address, when you get those addresses back, you want to go connect that up, obviously, with the student using that identifier. So hopefully that makes sense. It's really just a way for you as the district leader, when you get that information back from charter about serviceability, that you're able to map that back to specific students and specific households, so you know who to communicate with once that list of serviceable addresses comes back. That's just the reason why we're asking for some kind of ID that you can share with charter. When those addresses come back, you'll know who the kids are. So just want to make sure that was clear. Yeah, back to you, Bob.
Okay, thank you. So when we get that list, and again, it's transferred securely, we're going to do a serviceability check. And what we're looking for is that the student doesn't currently have internet service with charter, because we're not moving our existing customers over to this program. So it's for students who need connectivity. And we're going to make sure that they're on our network. So we can't build fiber, we can't build coax down the street, we can't go too far. So we're going to make sure that they're at least on our network. If we have to drop a coax drop from the street to the home, which is which isn't too far set back, that's not a problem. But most houses have a connection in place today. So we don't expect too many of those, but we just have to make sure they are on our network and that we can get to them easily. So we're going to scrub for those two things, basically that they're not a customer today and that we can service them. And then we're going to notify you back securely again. We're going to let you know which addresses are serviceable. And when we've done this in the past, we do tend to, we'll get a list of 100 and we only end up being able to service 70 or 80. There's going to be some fallout. And so if you can pre-scrub to make sure you confirm with customers that they don't have charter internet today and that they think they're on our network, that'll help eliminate or minimize some of those. Okay, so we're going to notify you. We're going to give you that serviceable address list back. And then we're going to want you to reach out to the customers, confirm that they want to receive the service. And then we do need some identifiable information. An adult in the household will need a name, a phone number, and an email address, because that helps our customer service process. So you would populate that into the same spreadsheet for the serviceable addresses and then send it back to us. At that point, it's only 3 to 5 days where we're going to ship, and I'll let Amanda walk you through what happens when the customer receives this package. We mail out the modem directly to their household. So Amanda, you want to explain that?
Absolutely, thank you. So for activation, essentially one of the 3 following options will occur. The end user can automatically plug in their modem and router to a coaxial outlet and electric outlet and they will be up and running if the house is already activated in our system, or if they plug everything in and it is not fully working yet, they can call the 855-725-9492, and they can speak to a representative for assistance. Prior to that happening, our automated system will pull their information automatically and attempt to send hits to the equipment to get it up and running that way. Sometimes that has a success rate, and if it does not, they'll be automatically transferred to a representative in our enterprise technical support team. If no action is taken, the account will automatically activate within 8 days of receipt. So if nothing happens, they still can essentially be added into our system and up and running as an active account. So with that said too, that 855 number, that is a special number for Stay Connected end users. So, we have a dedicated team to assist with this. They're already working. We've had several large states go active in our system and everything. So with Connecticut especially, this should be very smooth sailing for you.
And we have a very high success rate of this process working. If indeed they cannot get the service up and running, we do have arrangements to be able to send a truck out, or if they need that coax drop to the house place, the truck will go out, and we worked all that out in our contract. Any questions at this point? Or Doug,
there are some questions in the chat, and we welcome to those in the chat. One of them was, do we need to provide all families in the district as a sheet, or just those identified as eligible? So I would say cast a wide net. I know districts are really involved in looking at student engagement, and one of the gauges of student engagement is, do they seem like they're online or offline? You provided a total number of connections back in July, saying here's the number that we need, and then again in September. So my recommendation is cast a wide net. We would rather remove families after the serviceability check that already have service, rather than you're guessing that they might have service and not including them. So in the outbound communications, we'll also be including sort of a notice to families, and we'll equip you with this to say, essentially, if you don't have a connection, then there is one available through Charter, because we also recognize that they could have a connection through another provider within your region. And so we're not, this program is not to, actually, I'm going to mute first. So the program is not intended to replace existing accounts or take over the bill that families might be paying. It's really intended to connect disconnected families. So hopefully that answers the question there.
And I see that next question, were families in rural areas that did not have cable to the street. So this program is not about building out the Charter network, franchises and trying to expand coverage. This is, let's get internet to the students who need it as quickly as possible with the existing resources. So, we're always talking to local villages and towns and areas to build out our network, but this program is not part of that.
And that doesn't mean that if those families are in rural areas that are not directly serviceable, that it's that we're not going to help them. We would look at another solution, perhaps a mobile hotspot to deploy to that family to make sure there is some connectivity that we can take care of. So, the Everybody Learns initiative is really committed to making sure that every needy student gets connected. So let's sort of run that, let's run that serviceability check and come back, and the ones that come back as not serviceable, let's sort of dive into that one, and let's see what we can come up with for solutions, but we suspect that those will be outliers as opposed to the norm. There's another question that came up, and actually, I think we'll cover some of the other questions about unpaid bills in further slides. So let us. I think if there are no other questions about serviceability and setup, we can maybe go on to the FAQs. And by the way, as questions come up, we will definitely field them. There's no rush here. Um, so I think Bob already touched base on the sort of core services that are included in the program, but and I'll grab the next one, which is how much does it cost? It doesn't cost families anything. I really want to reinforce that there's no cost to families. As Bob said, if they're within a serviceable area and there has never been a drop to their home, then the technician would take care of that. But by and large, self-installation kits should take care of the connection. And I think the who is eligible question, I think we've covered that already. But again, we're not looking to take over the accounts of a current charter family, but we really bring on new customers. And Bob and Amanda, as I recall, the sort of grace period is the last 60 days, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the standard grace period for this program is that we exclude people that have service within 60 days, but we're not doing that for this for the start. Anybody who doesn't have service as of when we start scrubbing will be eligible. After the program start going forward and you want to try to add people, there does have to be a 60-day window where they have not had charter service so that we don't get people turning off and switching over. Does that answer that question?
I think so.
Okay, the next question on the sheet is about families with payments in arrears on the next slide. You got that?
Yeah.
We will still connect it. If they have an outstanding balance, something like that would normally exclude them from being eligible for getting service with us by changing something on their account. For this program, we're not going to worry about that. It doesn't, they still owe it, and that collection account may still be there, but we're still going to connect them, and we're going to be billing the state directly. So it will not eliminate them from this program. What will Charter do with the student data? Pardon me? I'm sorry, Doug, I thought I heard you say something.
No, go right.
What will Charter do with the student data? As long as you're keeping it anonymous and we do a secure transfer, we will not have student level data. We never see their names. The only thing we'll ever see is customer service information for an adult at the household, and only for the serviceable addresses. So it's all going to be kept secure, it's on our system, and it's all protected. And we do not sell or share data like that. It's all secure. And again, how do we enroll additional students after the initial service order? So again, they're going to need a 60-day window of not having charter service to be eligible after the program starts. And the district should just not the families individually, not the students, but the district should reach out to Amanda via email. You would send us another spreadsheet with, even if it's just one student or if it's a few students at a time. We typically have more coming in later, but you would just email that over, and we'll again. I'm sorry, not email. You can email her for questions, email Amanda for questions, but we'll send the file via the SFTP site to keep it secure, and all that data will be protected. Any other questions?
Oh, that was it.
Will we share the presentation afterwards? I assume that's yes, Doug?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a whole web page where we have, and based on where your students live, there are different carriers. So we've got all of our archives of presentation slides, recorded presentations, and any import templates that you need to access. So I'll be posting those to the site as soon as this session renders in the WebEx cloud, and we can send you that link. So I think we've covered most of the bases, and this can be a real brief session here, but If you have any other questions you want to put in the chat or take yourself off mute, please feel free. We're in no rush to conclude, but if we've answered all your questions, then we can move forward. While you're thinking about those, just a reminder: November 6th is next Friday, so we hope that will give you enough time to take that address template and drop in the addresses that you'd like Charter to review for serviceability and get those over. There will be a follow-up email from Charter. Actually, I'll take that back. I believe it'll be from Charter. We'll figure that one out, either Charter or me, with instructions on how to set up the SFTP client. So those will be forthcoming. But again, if you've got no further questions, the sort of next action item will be to start pulling those addresses that you believe need service through Charter.
And hey, Doug, it's Brandon from New Milford. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, quick question. And sorry if I didn't read this or hear this. How long does this program go for?
Well, we're really the sort of cutoff will probably be the beginning of the year. We want to set up families as quickly as possible, but I think we kind of need to draw a line toward the end of the calendar year.
But the service will stay in place, right, until next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, sorry. Sorry if I didn't answer your question, Brendan. This, as soon as setup starts in the family's home, it goes for a year. But in terms of giving, requesting connections, that would be sort of cut off of the end of December.
Okay, so it's really, in terms of what's being paid for them is temporary. It's being paid out for them until, say, January 1st, and then after that, it's on the families to maintain. Or am I wrong? Sorry.
No. So the state is covering the costs of the Charter connection through 1 year from we'll say November 1st. So November 1st of 2021, there should be no cost for the service to the families.
Got it. Perfect.
I think Heather brought up, if it's H Burns, I'm guessing it's Heather, our hotspots included. So we're not bundling in hotspots into this solution. This is a cable internet solution. If there are families that we identify as not serviceable because they're too far off, too far away from a drop, and it would cost, $20,000 to pull coax to their property, then we'd have a discussion one-on-one sort of about solutions. Is there cell service there? Kind of what other solutions might be in play? We're not walking away from those families, but it may take a little bit more sort of a custom solution to figure out what to do there.
Hey, Doug, it's Brandon again, New Milford. If we have a list of families, they report they don't have internet, but it turns out they do, for some random reason or not, will try to come back and say, sorry, this family cannot participate because they're already connected, or some kind of notification? Because I have a feeling that's going to happen based on just some mismatches or families reporting incorrectly.
Right. I mean, obviously, Charter's going to know who their clients are based on the addresses, so they're going to scrub those out. And actually, Bob and Amanda, that's a good question. I mean, by process of elimination, the districts will be able to get that insight, right? That in terms of the non-serviceable addresses, there will be a reason behind those, correct?
Some of that has been a security issue, so we really just provide you with the ones that are serviceable. But
Okay.
I'll see if I can get you that additional level of
Raise your
data.
hand at all.
What would be valuable, I think, for districts too, would be, if there are, we appreciate you're not sharing essentially your customer information. If you were to say their current customers, I know that's confidential. But if they are not serviceable because it would require a very expensive build out, we would need to know that so that we could address those kinds of situations and we're not just leaving them disconnected.
I'll see if we can provide that.
Okay. I
Can I
saw
ask a
you
question?
had a question.
Yeah. For existing subscribers who are having bandwidth issues, is there a way as the district we could coordinate some sort of whatever tone out for their connection? And I ask for this reason: for 5 megabits down, if they have an existing connection, they're sending video and there's multiple students in the house. If there's any kind of problem with that line in terms of throughput loss, they're going to feel it and they're going to get dropped connections. Can we request somehow to get a test of the line to make sure they're getting full throughput, at least for existing subscribers?
They can call, the end users will have access to our 800 number to call customer support, and they can do, speed tests over the phone with them and troubleshooting. So in that sense, yes. Can we do it
Okay.
separately? There's really nothing set up for that, but they can call and get tech support, sure. Directly.
Okay.
They don't have to go through the state or anything. They can call directly.
Well, my only concern is some of our families aren't in a position to really be, doing that conversation as effectively as possible. So, obviously every context has variable conditions that we try to assist with. Okay. So essentially just make sure we know who the actual subscriber is and get them to call you.
That would be best, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other questions about the program or next steps? Next Friday seemed like a reasonable deadline to get those addresses. Okay, I get the thumbs up from Eric. Thank you. Great. As I said, the archive of this presentation will be available for streaming. The PowerPoint we'll share out as well, that import template, and then you will be getting information about the SFTP setup for sharing your addresses. Just so you know, the distribution list that I've been using to get all this out has been the state technology EdTech listserv. And so if you heard about this session, I mean, obviously you heard about it somewhere because you're here, but whether it was through that listserv, alternatively, the data collection that we conducted over the summer about the connections that you needed, as well as devices, et cetera, through Everybody Learns, we collected an email address there as well. So hopefully, I'll be sending a follow-up to both the listserv as well as those specific email addresses that were associated with that summer data collection. Hopefully that reaches all of you. If you heard about this session and you're not on one of those distribution lists, you can always reach out to me. My email address is, I'm Doug Casey, so my email address is doug.casey@ct.gov. I'm always available for any high-level questions that you might have. But if there are no other questions, then we can finish up the session. The sooner we end, the faster it'll render, and the faster I can get it out to you. So, hearing none, I think we'll close out. Thank you all for the great work that you're doing in supporting blended and remote learning this year. It's been a challenge, we know, but we're here to help. Take good care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.